Dr. Alan Ellman, I'm excited about this one. The option strategy is called the wheel strategy. This one's an exciting one to me. So I'm going to let you do your thing that you always do. And I'm going to get out your hair, man. Here we go.
Okay, Steve. Well, we're going to talk today about a strategy I call the put call put or PCP strategy. It's commonly known as the wheel strategy outside the BCI community. And it's really an integration of my two favorite go-to strategies, selling cash secured puts and covered call writing. Now, each strategy unto itself can cause amazing results. I've been using these strategies now for 30 years. But when you master both strategies, your results can go even higher. And I've been getting a lot of questions recently about integrating these two strategies. So what I did was I went to one of my portfolios and I picked out a recent example where I did use this PCP or wheel strategy. So what you're going to be seeing today is a 68-day total trade using these two strategies with Next Tracker Inc., which is a stock that's listed on the NASDAQ exchange under the ticker symbol NXT. Okay, let's move on to the next slide, Steve. And what this is a graphic representation of the PCP or wheel strategy. So I've actually, you see in the four rectangles, I numbered them. So number one is where you sell an out of the money cash secured put. So for puts, out of the money means lower than current market value. So if a stock is trading at 50, for example, we might sell the $40 out of the money cash secured puts, meaning that we're willing to purchase those shares at $40, even though it's trading today at 50. Now, if the price of that stock does in fact drop below 40 by the expiration of that contract, and we don't buy back the option, well, what's happening? Our shares will be put or sold to us at that $40 price. So if it's exercised, what are we doing? We're buying a stock number two at a discount because it started at 50 and we're buying it at 40. Now, once we do that, now we are share owners. We could then write a covered call using the other strategy. When we sell a out of the money covered call, meaning we're willing to sell it at a higher price than it's currently trading for, or an in the money covered call where we're willing to sell it at a lower price than it's currently trading for. So we sell a covered call. And if that call is exercised, what happens? Number four, well, the cash used from the sale of those shares can then be used to then secure another cash secured put. So back to number one we go. So that's a graphic representation of the strategy. Now let me bring you to a real life example that I did with Next Tracker. So if we can move to the next slide, Steve, you could see a chart which has a whole lot of dates on it, but I'm giving you the first series of trades that I made with Next Tracker, which started on November 10th, 2025. And the last of the contracts I'm going to show you expired very recently on January 16th, 2026. So all in all, it's a 68-day series of trades. But the first contract that I sold on November 10th, and you could see the arrow all the way at the top of the screenshot here, I sold four contracts of the November 21st, 2025. So that was a 12-day contract of the $90 put, while Next Tracker was trading at $106.50. That's out of the money for puts. In other words, Next Tracker is trading at $106.50, and I sell the put agreeing to buy it for $90. I then received a premium of 77 cents per share. And again, I'm taking on 400 shares of contract obligation. We'll get to the math of all the returns as I go through this presentation. Now, what happened? Well, on the 21st, Next Tracker was below the $90 strike price. It actually went from 106 to below 90 in that short period of time. So I decided to take possession of those shares. So I didn't buy back the put option, which would have avoided having to purchase the shares. I still like this stock a lot. So I took no action, and 400 shares were put to me at the put strike of $90. And so now I'm a share owner of 400 shares of Next Tracker at $90. What did I do on that Monday, 11/24? I sold 4 contracts of the December 19th 95 calls out of the money, higher than current market value. That's the covered call leg. And I generated $3.12 a share. That's over $1,200 in premium. Now, that was for the contract expiring on 12/19. What happened? Next tracker closed at 88.34, leaving that 95 call out of the money, and it expired worthless. That means I keep my premium and I still own the shares. All right, so far so good. What did I do on that Monday, 12/22? I sold another 4 contracts of the January 16th 95 covered call. Same strike as I did the previous month. This time I generated $3.51. That's over $1,400 in premium for the 400 shares. Now, Steve, if we can go to the next slide, I'll show you what happened at the end of that January 16th expiration. Well, the red arrow shows that during that month, Nextracker did accelerate in price. As a matter of fact, it went all the way up to 96.36. Now, you'll recall I've been selling the 95 out of the money covered calls. Well, now with the stock trading at 96.36 on January 16th, that means the 95 strike moved from out of the money to in the money. And if I didn't buy it back, shares would be sold at 95. Well, I decided to allow those shares to be sold at 95. Not because I didn't like the stock anymore, but because there was an earnings report coming out on the 27th of January, and I never hold a covered call position during an earnings report. Too much risk. So I decided to allow assignment. So my shares, 400 shares, were sold at $95. So now what I want to show you is I want to show you a spreadsheet that I created that kind of summarizes everything, Steve. So if we can move on to the next slide, you're going to see a summary spreadsheet. So on the left side of this spreadsheet are the dates that we just went through. Now the column to the right of that, the second column from the left, are the option credits. So first of all, I generated $308 on the sale of those 4 put contracts. That was the first step in this PCP or wheel strategy. Then if you recall, the shares were put to me and I purchased the shares at $90, 400 shares. Well, that share debit is shown in the third column from the left in red. $36,000 is what I spent to buy those shares, those 400 shares. Let's go back to the option credits now. I then wrote covered calls 2 times. The first time I generated $1,248, and the second time I generated $1,404. So my net option credit for the put leg and the 2 call legs was $2,960. Once again, on the debit side, I spent $36,000 to purchase 400 shares at 90. Let's move over now to the share credit column, the second column from the right. On that share credit column, I sold, if you recall, I allowed exercise of 400 shares at the 95 covered call strike. That generated into my cash account $38,000. So let's go to the bottom left now and add up all these credits and debits and see what happened over these 68 days. Well, my total credits were $40,960. Where did I get that from? I sold the shares at $38,000 and I had $2,960 in option credits. Therefore, $40,960 in credits. My debit, $36,000, the price I paid for 400 shares at $90. So my net credit was $4,960. What was my cost basis? I spent $36,000 on those 400 shares. So my percent return for the 68 days was 13.78%. Now, when we annualize that, it annualizes out to 73.95%. That was using both cash secured puts and covered call writing actually twice, mastering both strategies and taking advantage of generating cash flow and buying a stock at a discount. So let's summarize now, Steve, in the next slide. I believe this is the last slide. Here we go. Okay, so obviously, significant returns can be generated with a 68-day defensive trade. It started out, remember, NXT was trading at 106 plus, and I sold the $90 put strike. So that was a very defensive move I made. And as it turned out, it was good because I was able to buy the shares at 90 rather than buying them initially at 106. So there was something going on in the market that led me to make a defensive play to start off the trade. But I still like the stock, and that's why I did two call legs with out of the money call strikes. So we could craft our trades based on what's going on in the market today, along with our personal risk tolerance. Now, in this particular case, not only were the initial returns realized, but the final returns were also captured and realized in the form of a return of 73.95%. Let me reiterate to all of you Quasar members that these trades are low risk trades. They are not no risk trades. So if a trade turns against us, it is imperative that we have an exit strategy or position management skill set to mitigate. Or even if the trade turns out way better than we ever anticipated, there are also exit strategies we can implement where we can actually make greater than a maximum return. So once again, not no risk trades, but definitely low risk trades. And this NXT example is a great example of integrating both covered call writing and selling cash secured puts into one multi-tier option selling strategy where we could take advantage of both cash flow and also buying a stock at a discount. Just a great, great strategy.
I love that. And I think so many people think, Alan, that options are just buying naked puts or calls, and they don't really understand that there's a whole thing behind this of strategies, and that it's really not scary. And you make that very easy for a lot of people to make it not scary, and you teach them. And if you can, folks, click on the button, the bluecollarinvestor.com, right there. You can see it right there. Click on that for Alan, and I guarantee you, I know him personally, he will answer your emails and your phone calls. He will take them for you. All right, till next time, Alan, I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Steve. Take care.